Om Sadashivasamaramabham Shankaracharya-madhyamam Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru-paramparam Yadavidya-vilasena Bhuta-bhautika-srishtaya Tam Naumi Paramatmanam Sachidananda-vigraham. Okay. So I said I will cover that small section very briefly and then handle whatever questions may be there, etc. See, this section is about basically, in that thing he said, the Tritiya Seshatvam is not applicable yet, sir. That means what is said in the third chapter is not applicable. Third chapter of what? Jaimini Sutras, okay? In Jaimini Sutras, where he is giving the rules of interpretation for the Purva Mimamsa. Like how we look at Purva, Para, etc. Shadlinga Vichara is there to ascertain the meaning. They have a slightly different system. Okay? So how do they ascertain? Remember, it's about karma. So more than ascertaining the meaning, okay, more than ascertaining the meaning, it's about what exactly fits in where. Okay? Like if you hear a statement, Agnishtmena juhyat swarga kamaha. Swarga kamaha chet, do Agnishtoma yagna. It's very clear cut. What is there to ascertain the meaning of it? So the first and the most important thing for making out the meaning is the Shruti statement. Direct statement. Okay? In Purva-mimamsa, we are not talking about Vedanta now. Purva-mimamsa. Okay? Then the other thing would be, so the Shruti statement, you will have to see what is the case ending, what is applicable, which sentence refers to what, all those things, grammatical things have to be kept in mind. This is called Shruti, most important. Next is called Linga, signs, implications. Oh, this is, it indicates that, that indicates this. Okay? So, second is Linga. Now, I can't give you all examples because the examples will all be about karma. Okay. Yeah. And nobody is familiar with Vedic karma here. Okay. Okay. Then to make you all familiar with that, we'll have to do Artha Sangraha, like how we did Tarka Sangraha. We'll have to do Artha Sangraha. Now you know why, how it happens in scholarship, you study different things. Because to make this clear, you have to go there. You have to go there. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So Lingaha. Then the third is something known as Vakya. Now what is a Vakya? Supplementary statements. Supplementary statements. Oh, you have to do Darsha Purnamasa also. Meaning for Purnimi and Amavasya, you have to do small rituals. So this will be the supplementary Vakya that will tell you about additional things necessary. Remember, it is something to be done. Therefore, there is no great analysis. You only have to see what is the thing to be done. Okay. Like somebody comes to lose weight. I'll say diet and exercise. Then I'll have to have many vakyas talking about diet and talking about exercise. No? Yeah. Then what is Linga? Implication that he'll avoid unhealthy habits. Okay. So that way, Linga, Vakyas. Okay. Then context. Because all the sentences are referring to a particular context, a particular ritual. So you may find Arthavada statements, a story coming up, like we have seen that. Agni cried. So his tears became silver. Therefore, silver cannot be offered as dakshina. Where? Prakarna, context. In this yaga you can't offer, somewhere else you can offer. But in this particular thing you can't offer. Why? It has come in that context, in that prakarna. Making sense? Yeah. So in that prakarna you don't offer. All right. Then there will be a certain order mentioned. Vrihiyeta, Dadana Jaheta. This is for doing the ahuti, you will give a list. So the sthana becomes important. What is said first has to be offered first. Yeah. Vrihiyeta, Dadana Yajeta, Dhritam Yajeta. All right. So first this, second this, third this. Sthana becomes important. Or even in the order of rituals, what ritual is said first, that will become the first thing to be done. Simple, it's common sense only, but you are making it clear. Sthana. Then Samakhya, some derivations will be there. You know from somewhere else that for doing this ritual, for example, for this ritual, you have to keep a fast. May have been mentioned somewhere else. This is called Samakhya. It is not mentioned there directly, but somewhere else it is mentioned. Samakhya. What is derived from it? Yeah. Don't ask me. Samji, before doing the ritual, should I have a bath? Understood. Okay. You don't have to specifically ask. So, these are the ways in Karma Kanda you come to know how the whole thing has to be done. Okay. Why? Because there's something to be done, therefore this becomes important. Whereas in Uttara Mimamsa, we are trying to ascertain the Tatparya, the meaning. Therefore, the analysis of the sentences themselves become important. Whereas here you are just codifying things, okay, all this, putting it in order, putting it in. So it's that way the analysis is easier sometimes more difficult also. Yeah, sometimes more difficult. So all he is saying in that section that we skipped over a bit was that these rules are not applicable there. Okay. Yeah. Like Arthavada will come in both places, but here will be taken as Samakhya or as derivations. Okay? Yeah. It will be taken like that. So that's also a very simple thing. It looked complex because Tritiya, Seshatvam, etc. was third chapter of Jaimini Sutras. So it's a very simple way of looking at it. Don't break your heads on it. It's okay. Okay? Just to understand that this, because none of us are going to go and analyze a karma. So that is why many of the priests don't study the original Veda. They'll study the relevant mantras and the chanting. Then there is something called Iti Kartavyam, a book which will talk about how to do all these rituals. Every ritual is codified. So they will go by that, Iti Kartavyam. Because otherwise you are reinventing the wheel. Pura, first study the Veda, then you fix up the meaning. Then somebody else says, no, but this is like that. Then you have to have a debate and discussion. So they have done all that and fixed up. It's called Iti Kartavyam, how to do it. Including how to light the fire, etc. With 2-3 options given. Okay. The best option is by friction. Exactly. Aruni. Mundaka Upanishad, we saw that. So by friction you light it. Second option is you will put some karpur. So you will lay the fire. It's called laying the fire, the arrangement. Okay. Arrangement will be first shavings, etc., small twigs, etc., which will catch fire faster. Then the big lots, etc., in order they will come up. Then right in the center you will put some karpur and light up the karpur, so that flame will catch up the smaller twigs and shavings and things like that, coconut shells, and then light up the whole thing. That's another way of doing it. Third option is you put a lamp inside a coconut shell and you build up the whole thing around it. So that lamp will be burning for some time, will catch the full fire. So these are all variations, Samakhya, available. Okay, doesn't really matter much, okay? Yeah. This is for the ritualistic section. So like that there are 101 things. Iti kartavyata is there. As Vedantins we don't bother about that. But there may be times in your life when you have to do some rituals, etc. You call a priest, the priest is the expert in that, he does it. Supposed to be expert in that. Okay. Yeah. They call it and do. And since there is something to be done, there are variations. But at the same time, it is esoteric, it's Vedic. Because it is Vedika, any modification has to be given within the Veda. They also offer vrihi, wheat. Can I offer rice instead? Likha hai? No, but barley is mentioned. So you can offer barley. You can say, but I am rice eater, I will offer rice, I will offer what I want. Then you make your own homa. It doesn't become the Vedika homa. I will do what I want. With apologies to Swami Dayananda Saraswati of Arya Samaj. If you look at the Arya Samaj, there is one homa, whether it is a wedding or a funeral or a childbirth or anything. Hum log havan karega. Same mantra, same thing. No Vedic mantras at all. You know, only their Vivaha mantras, some of them are chanted. So if you want to get a Arya Samaj wedding done, it is okay. Yeah, everything else. Yeah. Some of the same mantras they'll chant for the funeral also. It doesn't work like that. Yeah. For the wedding, it is okay. Yeah. So this is it. Now, any questions, clarifications you want on this or anything in this book? Yeah.
So in Vedanta Paribhasa, we have talked about muscle memory.
About?
Muscle memory.
Muscle memory? Where?
In Vedanta, in the lecture page I have not written.
Vedanta Paribhasa doesn't talk about muscle memory. I may have given that as an example.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah. Vedanta Paribhasa doesn't talk about muscle memory.
No, but notes contain both, no? So I was getting confused if it can be clarified.
Where?
I am trying to.
And in what context did I say it?
Yeah.
I must have meant it to illustrate something. It has to be taken as an illustration. So muscle memory I could have used for various things.
Janak also, I am taking too much time.
No. So you find it and when we'll.
I'll find it out and I'll take
Yeah. So now, what is the minimum that you all must remember from Vedanta Paribhasa?
What is the Tatparya?
No, listen, I not yet said it. The minimum will be those 6 videos I put up, Vedanta Epistemology Simplified. On the YouTube channel, there is this half a dozen videos on Vedanta Epistemology Simplified. That is the minimum you all must know. This is a good level to have. Okay. Is this the maximum? No. If you want maximum, we can do. There are other texts that we do, but this is a good level. ठीक है. बस हो गया ना. Okay. Yeah. So in this, what will be the 2 most important chapters here? In the Pramana, for Vedanta, which will be the 2 most important chapters? Huh?
An inference. Perception.
Perception and Shabda. Agama, Shabda. That will be the most important. Why? Because it is directly seen by you. The meaning of the words have to be directly seen by you. Okay? It's as good as perception. Because what is the definition of perception? Yaad hai? First chapter. Huh?
Pramata avachinna chaitanyam, pramana avachinna chaitanyam and Vishaya avachinna chaitanyam are in the
Same time and place. Yes. Pramata avachinam, prameya avachinam, prama. All same in time and place. So that definition is applicable for Shabda Jnanam also. Isn't it? Yeah. So this is as far as the knowledge. Then the knowledge itself is objectified. So they have given two definitions of this thing. Yeah. At least this much should be clear. Okay. Yeah. Is right in the beginning. Yeah. So that way, that whole perception becomes very, very important. That's why one of the longest chapters is perception. Yeah. Then of course, Vrityakara Chaitanyam, all that. Okay. Vritti Vyapti, Phala Vyapti, all that is to be kept in mind, okay, when you are dealing with perception. All that, the whole knowledge is complete only then. Okay.
So in perception,
Yeah.
page 21,
Mm-hmm.
a small letter it is written, this jar is a perception.
Hmm?
While a perception, I know the jar is a perception. This I was getting.
I know the jar.
This jar is a perception.
Which
While
which chapter are you looking at? Which word are you looking?
perception chapter, page 21.
Okay.
Page 21.
Yeah. So what is it?
Small, small letters. Some 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th line, 6th para, I can say.
Hmm?
Perception of a cognition. The cognition, this jar is a perception. While the perception.
Yeah. I know the notes. She's reading the notes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. This is a jar. No, one second. Understand this. I know I have seen your question because that footnote is confusing for you. Correct? Let us take this as a box.
Yes, sir.
This box is perception for you, correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you know that you have knowledge of the box?
Yes.
In your mind, there is knowledge of the box, right?
Yes.
Is that knowledge available to you?
No. That will be available only when you open it.
One second. So you don't know that you know the jar, correct?
Right.
You don't know you know the box.
Box, I know what is inside the box. I don't know.
I am asked, look at my question.
Yes, sir.
What is this in my hand?
Box.
You are seeing the box.
Yes.
This is perception.
Yes, sir.
So because of perception, you got knowledge of the box.
Yes.
Do you know the knowledge of the box?
Yes.
That is what he is calling as appreciation. That is the second definition of knowledge. In perception, there are two definitions given. The second one applies to the knowledge. Because the knowledge is also objectified by you, no?
Yes, sir.
That you know this box, that knowledge is direct for you or indirect for you?
Direct.
Is direct. How? That's also internal perception. So that is why he put that second definition there. Okay? Yeah. So perception is clear. Okay? I am going chapter by chapter just in case there are any questions coming up. It's a huge chapter, perception. Okay? Now, the only difference, the way we differ from science is, science says light comes inside Vedanta is saying mind goes outside. It doesn't matter. One thing is inevitable. For every perception, there has to be a relevant thought. Where the light is coming inside, mind is going outside, whatever, there has to be a relevant thought. Okay? Because without that relevant thought, without the mind assuming the form of the object, you will not gain knowledge. That is why if the mind assumes a different form, you will get erroneous knowledge. That will explain your mistakes. So this much has to be is clear.
Yes.
Okay? Okay. Then inference is pretty straightforward, simple. Any doubts on inference? Simple inference, 3-step inference. Correct? Remember all that? Parvato vanniman, yatra yatra, dhumaha tatra tatra vannihi. Simple. Okay? In Vedanta, Anumanam is very simple, direct, straightforward. Okay? Only Anvaya. There is no Vyatireka Anumanam. We use Anvaya Vyatireka as an argument, but the Anumanam is only Anvaya. Why? You are trying to prove the presence of a thing. So, the data that you gain has to show it inheres there, no? Anvaya. Fire is there. Why? Because smoke is there. You can't say when there is no smoke, there is no fire. Yeah. So, Vyatireka argument is not used to prove something. Anumana is to have a knowledge of something more than what the eyes can tell you. That's why we are keeping it only at Anvaya. We are not using the Vyatireka argument of the Nayayika. Then when it comes to proving something or not proving something, which is existing before, which is existing, there we will use Anvaya and Vyatireka. For Anumanam it's only Anvaya. Are you all getting the difference?
No, sir. Anvaya Vyatireka, not very clear.
What is Anvaya?
In her, said that.
Anvaya meaning when something is there, something is there.
Yeah.
Okay? When smoke is there, fire is there, Anvaya. What is Vyatireka?
That's not clear.
When fire is not there, smoke also will not be there. Vyatireka. Can you say when smoke is not there, fire is not there?
We cannot see.
Why?
So some fire may not have smoke.
Exactly. Some fires may not have smoke. Therefore, the Nayayika uses the argument. In a Jalashaya, in a lake,
Yeah.
there is no fire, there is no smoke. That's a Vyatireka argument he uses. As Anumanam. We don't use that for Anumanam because Anumanam is to show something more than your perception. The absence of things. Why? Because the Nayayika tries to prove the absence of things also through Vyatireka. How do we prove the absence of a thing in Vedanta? Anupalabdhi, exactly. So we have a separate pramana for that. Because of that, we don't need a Vyatireka argument. Okay? Yeah. Vyatireka argument as a pramana. Okay? Not for analysis. As a pramana we are talking. Understand the difference between the two. Okay. All right. We saw that elaborately. All right. Then Upamana is very easy. We have seen that. Comparison. Okay. Comparative knowledge. Then Agama or Shabda Pramanam. Okay. That also we saw this thing. What all are necessary for Shabda. I also brought in what I have gathered together as principles of communication because Shabda Pramana involves that. Certain things in Vedanta is taken for granted. Why? Because it's available in the world. Then why do you have to mention it separately? Because people have forgotten it. Yeah. Okay. Remember all that? The fundamental principles of communication, yaad rakho, these are very, very important. Intention has to be equal to what? Expression has to be equal to your understanding. All the techniques of communication are only to make this clear. So for that sake, you will say consistency, contiguity, all that. To make this, you will even devise systems for it. Just to make this. You may even demonstrate it somewhere as a diagram on the board. Why? Because what I want to say has to be. There can be some short circuit from here to here and lot of short circuit from here to there.
So contiguity means what?
Look into the notes, look into the what is written. All this has been explained. Yeah, it's all there. It has to be applicable. It has to be, yeah. Sprinkle with fire. How do you sprinkle fire? So even though the statement makes sense, it doesn't have contiguity, validity in it. Yeah. It's all old English. That's why they're using terms like that. Yeah. Annie Besant translations. Continued. Okay. What's the next principle of communication?
They should understand the way I want to.
That is simple, straightforward. I mentioned it. Intention has to be equal to expression, is to be equal to understanding. Then, come on, give. Huh? Not equal to agreement. Yes, understanding is not equal to agreement. This is why we are afraid to understand people. Because we think if we understand, we have to agree. You agree or disagree only after you understand. Na? You agree or disagree only after you understand. Just because you understand doesn't mean you agree. Yeah. I understand the Quran very well. Reasonably well. Not very well. Reasonably. But that doesn't mean I agree with everything that's written there. I disagree with a lot. Yeah. Okay. Another principle? Seek to understand before you seek to be understood. That means listening, pay more attention to listening. Yeah. This is the basis of empathy and communication. Yeah. Next principle? Huh? Yeah, the integrity, communicating with integrity. Say what you're going to do and do what you have said. The whole ISO certification is based on this. The whole thing. So I remember the first time ISO certification came, I was doing a lot of corporate training. So I had one look at the whole thing, big volume. I said, based on one principle of communication, I already taught you all. So he said, one principle? I said, this is only one principle. Say what you do what you say. There is integrity in this. Then there is communication with ahimsa. What is that? It's a big thing now. Non-violent communication it is called. Satyam priyam hitam bruyat. Satyam priya hitam shet. If it is hitam, then say it. And priyam bhuya. Say it in a nice manner. The person can listen to it. Yeah. So all this has to be backing. This is worldly knowledge. This is not Vedic knowledge. This is worldly knowledge. Okay, you learn in the world all these things. Yeah. Then Agama takes off from there. Agama takes off from there. How the whole thing has to be done. Yeah. Okay. That's why this tatparya of the words, because intention, tatparya. Yeah. Even though intention is with the speaker, here he takes the intention to be with the words themselves. Because that's all that is available. Because the speaker is not available now. There's one thing it differs here. Because the speaker is not available for you. Speaker was the Rishi. Where is the Rishi? Minimum in Brahmaloka. Yeah. So the Rishi is not available here. Yeah. Because the Rishi is not available, you can't have it. Yeah. Therefore, from the words itself, you have to have the intention. That is why the Shadlinga Vichara comes in to ascertain the intention of that, of the words. Okay. Then, of course, implied meaning, all that, the varieties of implied meaning, all that. And we also saw the difference he made for Bhagatyaga Lakshana, Kakebhyo Dadirakshatam, etc. Okay. Okay. All that we saw. Then the authority of the Vedas, Apurushetvam, etc. Now, there is one problem when it comes to Apurushetvam. Okay, it cuts across religions. When you say God has revealed, there is always a problem of human interpretation. Because all religions, it has come through human beings writing it down. Okay, there were prophets in Christianity, Old Testament, New Testament. Then why Old Testament, New Testament differences? Even in the Bible, there are so many variations. Luke, this, at least half a dozen variations. And Thomas Judas, his version is not acceptable only. He is completely eliminated. Huh? Yeah, exactly. And if there are variations, that means each person understood it differently and wrote it differently. So that problem will come in. Islam at least is only one guy. So, if at all there is this thing is only one guy's issue. But when you look at that guy's life, you find this is not a character whom I will trust to say anything. How did he make his living? By raiding other societies. I mean, he was the thug. He raided societies. If he made money, his living came from money from raiding. What type of a religious leader is that? Yeah. The first lady he married was an old woman for her wealth. No, it was all straightforward. Marriage was and Revadi. He must have had a mother fixation, Oedipus complex. Then he married a 9-year-old girl, 6-year-old girl. How? 6-year-old girl. He had 13 wives, by the way. 6-year-old girl. I mean, how can you even look at a 6-year-old like that? Then if he is writing something, how much can you trust what is written as the voice of God? Especially as a lot of convenient surahs came. There is one surah, for example. A man should not have sexual relationships with his daughter-in-law. Good statement. Why? Probably this was happening a lot. Otherwise, why should he mention it? Why should God mention it unless he has seen a lot of this thing, nonsense happening? So, mention. All right, Baba, take it. Few surahs down the line, there is another statement. However, if the son is an adopted son, it is okay. Yeah. Because his son was adopted. And he had relationship with that guy's wife. So, is it surahs coming from God or is it your convenient statements? I mean, I am not quoting anything outside the Quran or the Bible. I am quoting what is inside. You know, what is inside, what is written there. So then, how do you trust that these are the words of God? How do you trust? And Quran says every Muslim should keep a beard. भगवान को और कुछ काम धंधा नहीं है. He came to see whether you should keep a beard or not. I mean, come on. If a human being in an organization made a rule, I can understand that. Yeah. Like the Sikhs. It's a human being who made a rule that all Sikhs will grow their. Fine. I can understand. Because this human being has made it. He didn't claim that this is voice of God coming. He didn't claim that. He says, I am founding the Khalsa and this is the rules of the Khalsa. Fair enough. Romans had another rule, that every Roman soldier or senator should be clean shaven. They had human rules. That's okay. Human beings can make these rules. भगवान को और कुछ काम धंधा नहीं है क्या? And to make other than making rules like that. Yeah. Or kill everyone who doesn't believe in this. Come on. Yeah. That's as far as the Quran is concerned. When you see a movie like the 10 Commandments, you'll worship Moses. Which is true. The 10 Commandments is a phenomenal movie. Moses was a phenomenal person. But at the same time, he stoned a lady to death because she collected leaves on a Sabbath day. That's also recorded. God. Because Sabbath day is day dedicated to God. You are not supposed to do any other work. I just picked up some leaves for my family to eat. Is that really work? If she collected it and she was selling it in the market, I can understand. Okay, Baba. Work. Collecting some leaves for your family to eat the food. That should have been collected yesterday and kept. Yeah, Narayana. All right, Baba. You ask her to say a prayer 10 times, 11 times. Bolo na. Stoning the person to death. It's all recorded. Okay. How do you reconcile that? And say, this is the person God has spoken to speak through. I mean, couldn't find someone better, or what? But the same thing can be accused in Hinduism also, isn't it? Because the rishis were different types. The rishis were different types. But there is a thing. The rishis are only said mantra drashtas. They did not write down anything. They chanted exactly what it was. They didn't do any interpretation. You chanted. For generations it went chanting. It's like a living CD-ROM. It went on. Look at their lives. For all the variations, exemplary lives. Yeah. The Sapta Rishis I'm talking about. The first 7 Rishis who were responsible for the whole thing. No issues. Then, is there internal evidence in the way, then the chanting, etc.? See, I can say, hey, I am the voice of God. But in what is revealed, is there a statement like that? Look at the other religions, it's not there. Ishvarena Nishwasitam Veda, it is there. It doesn't matter who is chanting it. So that it is revealed by Ishvara. The Veda has been revealed by Ishvara. So different people got different sections of it. Yeah. Different people got different sections of it. Then they started studying, interacting with each other, studying the whole thing. Finally, Vyasa codified the whole thing. Yeah. So there were disagreements among the rishis, and these are all recorded, available here. Finally, what it is. Yeah. So there is an aspect of Shraddha coming into this part of it, that Ishvara is Apurishaya. Now, what is the logic? There is another logic in this. Do we really need God to come and tell me you should not steal? Because this belongs to you, yaar. I can't take it away. Why? I don't like my things taken away by you. You don't need Ishvara to come and tell me. Dharma is inherent in the society and you have an instinctive understanding of it. Like how if a baby is born has an instinctive understanding of gravity. That's why the baby struggles to stand up by the time of 10 months. Understanding of gravity is there, though it doesn't know the name, doesn't know the laws, but instinctive understanding is there. Forget it, a baby monkey knows that. If I don't hold on to the mother, I will fall. Instinctive understanding of dharma is there. You don't need Ishvara to come and tell you. Then what do you need him to come and tell you? What you can't figure out? You grow a beard or not, अभी ईश्वरा आके बोलने का है. करना क्या चाहिए? दाढ़ी रखने का रख, नहीं रखने का मत रख. What has God got to do with I keep a beard or not? Yeah, really. It is not said as a discipline for a ritual. As a discipline for a ritual, it is said. Okay, for this ritual, 40 days, because the ritual has to be done by a priest. Now, to get the full authority to do all the rituals, the priest has to be a married man. Otherwise, he doesn't get the authority to do all the rituals. Now, then he will say, okay, for this particular ritual, for 40 days, both should live a life of brahmacharya. You can't shave, you can't cut your hair, nothing. That is a discipline. That's a discipline imposed on the priest for a particular ritual. You all have seen now people going to Shabarimala, how they go. That's particular ritual in. Yeah. God does not make general rules. Yeah. Then some behaviors like that has been invented by the rishis. When you join an ashram, you will shave your head, implying your commitment. Only 3 commitments left. One choti will be there. Ishvara, the Shastra and the Guru, that's it. No other commitments in your life. So that's a symbolic to remind you of that. Yeah. Sannyasa, that is also cut off. Why? No more commitment, no. You total freedom. And the Guru is the one who cuts it off. The barber doesn't shave it off. Yeah, the Guru shaves it off. So, these are all man-made things, certain things. But the Viraja Homa, that is in the Shastra. So, if you look at it like this, the apurushetvam of the Veda becomes clear because it's talking about what human beings cannot figure out. And there is nothing illogical about it. Things are beyond logic, yes, but there is nothing illogical. And ultimately, it's talking about Atma Jnanam, which you can't figure out anyway. All the teaching people find it difficult to own it up, to make it their own. Then how are you going to figure out on your own? How is a guy who's suffering all the problems of life think, I am limitless? Unless he's a megalomaniac. It's a psychological issue. You know what to think. Yeah. So that is where the apurushetvam issue comes up in the Veda. Then presumption we saw, double logic, deductive logic. Then anupalabdhi, for figuring things that you can't figure out. And how perception cannot replace anupalabdhi. Okay. So in this we saw all the 6 pramanas. Then what is the subject matter of Vedanta and what is the aim? Okay. Subject matter is what? Jiveshwara Aikyam. Aim is what? Moksha. Simple. Moksha, simple. और कुछ नहीं है. Subject is Jiveshwara Aikyam. That's why Mahavakya becomes important. And this is what? Aim, moksha. Everything else is secondary. Everything else is secondary. So this is a brief summary of the whole thing. Okay. Yeah. Therefore, I would seriously suggest that even if you are not listening to the whole Vedanta Paribhasa again, at least listen to those 6 tips. They are not a full hour. They are about half an hour, 20 minutes, something. Each one is only that much. Short tips I made. Okay. Even Indica Academy is putting it up for their people. I said, wow, you're supposed to be scholars and this is a simple basic thing. Because sometimes fundamentals are lost in scholarship. Your scholarship cannot make you lose fundamentals. It's important. So any questions, clarifications? You have summed up the whole thing briefly. Any questions, clarifications? और सब क्लियर है? In the no, sorry, I'm not hearing it properly. Yeah.
In the teaching methodology. How are these different pramanas used?
How are the okay, in the teaching prakriyas only Shabda is used. Now, Shabda is supported by Anumanam for the sake of students' understanding. So you will do, yeah. I should just check what he wants now. So, we will use Anumanam etc. to support logic supporting logic so that people can understand easier. So that's all that is used. Then for examples, Upamana may be used. Or some perceptual data can be used, because if you are going to use Anumanam, perceptual data has to be there. Okay? So that way it will be used. Otherwise, Pramana is only Shabda. All the teaching prakriyas are based on Shabda only. All the others are supporting. All they are only for supporting. Yeah. So main thing is.
When we were discussing, we had said that presumption we use, arithmetic we use.
Yeah.
So when we show.
Yeah. So sometimes deductive logic you also will use, no? Presumption. Deductive logic, because you are building up something to establish something. Yeah. So it's all supporting the Shruti. Like somebody asked, see, Swamiji does this, he establishes the existence by looking at this book and reducing it. So isn't that independent of the Pramana? Whole thing is based on the Pramana. Okay. Ekam sat nana iva pashyati. Ekam sat nana iva pashyati. So I have taken that statement and then used some arguments from science to explain that as support. Why? Because the common knowledge is science. But it is not independent of the Shastra. Because the final jump when you are taking, the final jump, that it has to be an existence which does not have a form, that is based on the Shastra. The final thing has to be an existence which is not based on a form. That step is from the Shastra alone. Then limitlessness, etc. So can you see what I am using? I am using the Shastra as a mainstay. Whole supportive argument is from Anumanam, science, etc. That makes it easier for understanding. It is all there in Arsha Vidya Foundation YouTube channel. Vedanta Epistemology Simplified. Yeah.
Vedanta?
Epistemology Simplified.
Epistemology.
Yeah. Because someone is asking where this thing is.
Yeah, even I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
Because once it opened, after that, I did not open it.
Everything will open if you do it rightly, okay? Yeah.
It's the same link as in Vedanta Paribhasa.
How do you expect to open Vedanta Paribhasa and get some other video? I mean, what is the logic in it?
And some Taittiriya Upanishad, that is also coming.
Upanishads are separate videos. Vedanta Paribhasa is separate videos. This will be separate videos.
Karthik has given the coordinates.
He has put the coordinates on the. Look in the chat.
The chat.
Look in the chat. There is only one message in the chat. That chat is the link to the videos. Yeah, it is there. Yeah. So this is how you go through the whole thing. So logic is used, everything is used. Yeah, Sanchit.
One, yeah. So in that book example that you just talked about, so when you reduce the book to formless existence,
Yeah.
so how do you come to limitlessness in that example?
How do you come to?
How do you prove limitlessness in that example?
I don't prove. I use it as a supporting argument to understand what the Shastra is saying. Shastra is saying one reality appears in different forms. So I take a form and reduce it there, using the help of the Shastra. Without the Shastra, you can't do it. Science has been trying, no? And you're keeping on hitting forms.
Fine, Maharaj.
Yeah.
And you say that it's limitless because it's formless existence.
Yeah.
Which cannot change.
Exactly. Because anything formless has to be limitless. Because we are talking about formless, not shapeless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah. So it's all Shastra based. I don't have anything individual to say. Yeah. Because if I say anything individual, that will be valid for me, may or may not be valid for you. Yeah. Yeah. Like for example, I may say the best form of exercise is martial arts. May be valid for me, but a 70-year-old tries to start learning martial arts and goes to a school where there are 15-year-olds, what will happen? He'll end up with an injury day one. So Swamiji said martial art is the best. Yeah. So, yeah. Rishi said? Hmm. Yeah. No, there are various ways of it. There are various ways that Ishvara revealed it. Some of them got it in meditation, they heard it. Some of them got it in the statement of a swan. Some of them learned from Ishvara, who took the form of Hayagriva, a rishi with a horse's head. Yeah. Vishwamitra, contemplating on Surya Devata, got the Gayatri. He actually heard it. Yeah. So, if Ishvara has to reveal, he can reveal in 100 different ways. So, I am fully willing to accept that that knowledge of the truth could have been revealed in any culture. Okay. I am open to that. The question is, have they preserved it and forwarded it or no? Most of the time they have not, because it's not available now. Not available now. Yeah. So I am willing to open. I am not saying, yeah, we say India is a Punya Bhumi, it has been revealed here. But it could have been revealed elsewhere also, no? Yeah. Yeah? Manasaputra. Yeah, Manasaputra. See, Brahmaji is the creator. So, general procreation, we know, involves two people. Okay? Two people of the opposite sex to procreate. Okay? Gender specific, it has to be. Okay? But he says the first sons of Brahmaji were not born in the conventional way. They were, like how he created the creation, like that he created the first four. That is why all of them were very high, so highly sattvic, they were not interested in furthering the creation. So they went straight to learn from Ishvara, Dakshinamurti. Yeah. So that's why Brahmaji said, no, this will not work. Creation won't move. You have to put some rajas, tamas and all into it for the creation to go forward. These are the stories, okay? The stories.
Swamiji, in this connection, what is the connection of Hiranyagarbha with Brahman?
Hiranyagarbha is Brahman. Mind of Ishvara is Hiranyagarbha. The mind of Ishvara is Hiranyagarbha. Yeah. Karthik has a question. He has been waiting for a long time. You have raised your hand.
Swami?
Yeah.
Yes, Swamiji. Just as an extension to Sanchit's question,
Yeah.
There is one more jump, I suppose, which is that the limitless existence is nothing but consciousness.
Yeah.
That is another jump.
That is another jump. Yes. All based on the Shastra.
All this.
Yeah. Without based on the Shastra, you can't have all that. So I am using all those arguments which look highly scientific, which is not really, but only to make it easier for people to understand. I could use the pure mind route also. Maybe one place I will do that. Use only the mind route to explain. Yeah. Shankara does that. He says all creation is only conceptualizing. Yeah. Which is true. All things are born twice, no? First inside, then outside. No? So all creation is only here, really speaking. So another way of explaining the whole thing. This is easier for people to understand. Because we are caught up in the physicality so much. Okay, start from there. So it's only a support thing. Supporting argument. Yeah. So what is the main argument? Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Yo Veda Nihitam Guhayam. Finished. That is the statement. All this is only to explain that. Yeah. So Bhagatyaga Lakshana, everything comes into it. Even when I am jumping from the book to this thing, Bhagatyaga Lakshana is coming at every stage. I am not mentioning all that because then it will become highly confusing for people. Yeah. So let the Bhagatyaga Lakshana be. So this is how the whole thing is working. One bhaga you are retaining, others you are giving up. Name and form you are giving up, only the content existence is being retained. The same. It's just a good teacher can create your own prakriyas. Because after all, a prakriya is only a form of explaining. Every Upanishad is a prakriya. No? So now there are traditional prakriyas which people use so that you can't go wrong with them. But if the thing is ingrained into you, if you have owned it up, then you create your own prakriya. But I have noticed one thing, any prakriya I have thought about, there is some indication of that in the Shastra already. It's already there. Yeah, you only developed it. Only developed it. Yeah. So, that's the whole thing. Yeah. Yeah.
And Brahma Sutras are meant for only, it's like a pure logic unity. So can it work on people who do not believe Shastra as a pramana, as Shraddha?
No, if you don't accept Shastra as a pramana at all, very difficult for Vedanta to work. So what will happen is, there are people who will come to the class not willing to accept Shastra as a pramana. So how does it work for them? Sometimes you see it working for them. They pick up the logic part of it. They don't realize that the logic is based on the Shastra. Like this person who asked this question. How can you, how is it directly coming without using the Shastra? So they think we are using it that. That's why in the beginning I don't quote too much of the Shastra. Because with our hyper-secularization, they are not. So I go like this. Then after some time, hey, it's all there. Oh my God, you've been teaching the Shastra. Then the acceptance comes. So the acceptance comes in a bit later. When they realize that all that they found logical and true is based on the Shastra, then they say, okay.
So what is the main intention or objective of
Brahma
Brahma Sutras?
Sutras is an analysis of the whole Shastra. Na? Logical analysis. See, the Shruti is the Upanishads. But the Upanishads, there are what is known as seeming contradictions. Creation is mentioned. So what the Brahma Sutra does is gives you a logical framework, an analytical framework, to clarify the whole thing. That's why the whole Brahma Sutra is summed up in the first 4 sutras. Yeah, 4 sutras. Actually, there are 555 sutras. Yeah.
So you mean to say the logicians or the Nyayikas?
Say that is why, see, One is Shruti Prasthanam. Shruti Prasthanam is the Upanishads. Third is the Smriti Prasthanam. That's the Gita. Later on you include Bhagavatam, etc. also. Then the Nyaya Prasthanam, the whole thing has to be logically understood, na? Because the human mind uses only logic. So the Nyaya Prasthanam is the Brahma Sutras. So that's why it becomes very important. In fact, I would say, nobody can become a teacher without having studied at least the Chatusutri. Minimum. Nobody can be a teacher. I mean, you can teach, that's a different thing. There are people who teach. But minimum, you have to study that. Good if you can study the whole thing. Fine. That's why I went off to Rishikesh. I studied the whole thing from Tirthaji. 3-4 years. Yeah. But you have to accept that fact, it is revealed by Ishvara. No? See, there is the lack of Shraddha comes there. Where does people have lack of Shraddha in the Shastra? Because it is revealed by Ishvara. So, udhar thoda, the secular mind gadbad ho jata hai. Yeah. Yeah, then it will work. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, if Bhakti in Ishvara is strong, Shastra will also be accepted. But secular mind don't have Bhakti. They are skepticals. Yeah. I had students like that. Then they'll pick up the Bhakti, then kabhi it will go to the other extreme. Like I have to talk to some of my students saying, what is this? You are channelizing your inner Brahmana outside. Ritual mein kyun matak jata hai? Yeah. Because why is it happening? Because our education isolated us from our own culture and heritage. Yeah, it does. Where in school were we allowed to do anything of this sort? Yeah. I mean, Ramayana, Mahabharata and all came under mythology. No? Even that came under mythology. So the Macaulay did a good job. Hats off to him. You have to appreciate him for what he did. From the standpoint of the British Empire. He did a great job of creating brown sahibs. And the first people to see the problem in that education was actually Islam. That's why they started their madrasas. But they went to the other extreme, only religious education, nothing else. Then it became brainwashing after that. Yeah. That's the other problem. But to have that balance, hey, you need modern secular education. You need the Vedic heritage. You need both in your life. So the secular minds, there is where they find the difficulty. And acceptance of the Veda as a pramana. That's why I follow the logical route. Challenge me logically and see. If they don't, say, okay, fine. This guy is different. He's not like this orthodox traditional people. I said, I'm not orthodox, I'm traditional. No, Swamiji, you're not traditional. You don't know. So they can, I have people, I know people, friends. Sunita also knows them, my friends. Absolutely no acceptance of Ishvara also. We are atheists. But they are good human beings. For them, nature, etc. is the important thing. So they are eco-sensitive, they will do things for environment. They are good jobs, good things. They are good people, very good people, very ethical and all in their lives. Very good people. But Ishvara Jnanam is not there, so moksha next lifetime. The punya of this karma now, next lifetime they will pick it up. Yeah. So that's how it goes. Because it's lifetime after lifetime, no? Not necessarily one lifetime you get everything. None of us have got in one lifetime. Because we are here in Kali Yuga shows, we have not got it in one lifetime. Satyayug se chalu hai na. Yeah.
And other side, coming with the karmatas,
The other extreme, they are afraid of Vedanta Jnanam. Yeah, correct. Karmatas will not get it also. But the punya of that, next lifetime. In fact, Sureshwaracharya in Naishkarmi Siddhi says, the smoke from the sacrifice have clouded their understanding. That's why they are not coming to Vedanta. Sureshwara himself was a karmata before. And he says that. It clouded their understanding.
They tell also that more smoke is more problem.
Exactly. You have to smoke it out of you. That's how it is in the. Anyway, good place to stop. Brahma Sutras we will start. Not next Sunday. Next Sunday is what? Third. Third is Bhau Bij, etc. So we take off that day. On 10th when we meet, we will start the Brahma Sutras. I don't think I sent you all in that PDF the chanting this thing. I will send that. I'll scan it. I found my copy. I will scan it, Dasha Santri Mantras and all. So what happens, what we will do for the Brahma Sutras is, as soon as we come and we fit it up, we'll start the chanting. People can join as they want, but we'll start the chanting, you know. If you all join for the chanting, well and good, whatever.
is there in Mantra Pushpam or Dashashanti?
Yeah, all the Dasha Santri Mantras, others also there, and then Dakshinamurti. So Dakshinamurti we'll chant on the first day the whole thing. After that, first and last verse we'll chant. Yeah. So that we will see on 10th. Okay. Om Tat Sat. Take care. Have a nice time.